There's not many things at this point that would surprise me, but in a Chiefs draft, there's always something. What could they be today on Locked On Chiefs?
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, friends and neighbors. We appreciate you making us your first listen. Make another Locked On show your next listen. You can get that much more here on the Locked On Podcast Network because we're here for you, your team, every single day. We appreciate it if you like and sub and do all those things. And then check out Matt Derrick over at ChiefsDigest.com and Chiefs Digest here on the platform. And 41 is the mic. You can find him on all those places. This is going to be a fun time because this is pure and unadulterated conjecture. What would it be? What could we come up with? This is going to be a fun show. I am still sick as a dog, so we're not going to take it too seriously today, folks. Let's have some fun. Later, we're going to do hot or not, fitting into the Chiefs scheme. Who could do that? What would do that? Really no holds barred on whatever we want to talk about. Before that, we'll get to the third option, maybe being the best option. And we're going to start right off the top, as we are here, with what would surprise you. Now, I'm not surprised very often. Matt is even less than I am. You can find Matt at ChiefsDigest.com. Like I said, you can find me at NFL33.com, where my rankings are starting to come out slowly but surely, position by position. Make sure you get subbed over there because it is all behind the sub wall, and I would appreciate the support, as will the rest of my staff over there, as well as my guys at RogueAPC.com, because the draft guide is nearing completion. We should have it for you early next week. And the Matrix is out right now. You can get it at RogueAPC.com and use the code LOC. Since you're a Locked On listener, I appreciate you. And then if you're just bored, get over to RGR because we're still doing content every day of the week, all the time, just because we can. So none of that should surprise you, but some things might. Matt, this is time for rumor mills. And I just want to start with a non-Chiefs one because I love this concept. Out in the recent couple of hours is heck, they might actually invite Milroe to come to the green room, meaning somebody at the NFL front office thinks he might go in the first round, which, hey, I wouldn't do it. I have a 6th round grade on the guy, but if somebody does, that's one more player that drops down the Kansas City Chiefs. Would that surprise you in your estimation?
When it comes to quarterbacks, nothing surprises me anymore. I mean, good grief. Maybe the Atlanta Falcons have told somebody they're taking Jalen Milroe because anything that the Falcons do anymore wouldn't surprise me. Hey, quarterbacks, sometimes the situation can be just like I feel like today we're having a fever dream, Ryan, just going through what could happen, what might be the most outlandish possibilities. And so, yeah, I mean, with quarterbacks, it doesn't matter. Quarterbacks can go anywhere. It might be the 28th best quarterback on the board. If a team falls in love with him, might take him in the first round.
Head over heels. You never know. And kids, I am joking. It's not a 6th round. I have him higher than that, but you're going to have to go to NFL 33 to find out exactly where I have him. Or you can just get the draft guide. It'll all be in there. That story aside, what would surprise you? A number of things for me, and I think probably the biggest question for me is to get your opinion, is I just can't fathom it given the scenarios that are in front of us. If it was me, I would be wanting to get value out of this class because I think the 60 to 100 picks are probably just as good as the 33 to 60 picks. I don't think there's a giant difference here. So trading back is something that I would probably really be pushing for right now. I'd be calling everybody that needs a quarterback and be like, hey, when you get to 31, maybe it's Milroe. Maybe you want to come up and get this guy. I'm going to help you out. You just have to give me all your picks to do it. It's fine. Would it surprise you if the Chiefs traded back?
It really wouldn't, for a couple of reasons. And one is, certainly it's viewed as generally that Brett Veach isn't going to trade back because he's never done it, especially in the first round. But that just kind of ignores a lot of history and ignores some real key aspects of Brett Veach and his trading aspects. And one is that he's traded his first round pick plenty of times. He's traded it for other capital. I mean, he's given away a first round draft pick. I mean, let's even though he wasn't the GM, let's face it, he was giving away a first round pick for Patrick Mahomes. He gave away a first round pick for Frank Clark. He gave away a first round pick for Orlando Brown. So he's moved first round picks plenty of times. I think that it's only been circumstance that's prevented him from maybe moving back in the first round a couple of times in the past. So just like a lot of narratives get shot eventually with Brett Veach, like remember, he doesn't spend any capital on cornerback. Well, once he takes one in the first round and starts paying some a little bit, then all of a sudden the narrative changes a little bit. So there's always going to be a first time for Brett Veach when he does something still. I mean, he's still young enough as a GM. But two, obviously, and you kind of hit on it, the Chiefs need draft capital. And it's not just in 2025. I mean, they want 2026 draft capital too. And here's the thing about the draft these days that we get caught up in, and I get caught up into, because we look at it and we think to ourselves, gosh, some of these drafts look really deep, and it's like, hey, there's going to be some talent available in the 4th, 5th, 6th round. Maybe you start convincing yourself, hey, there's going to be pockets where, and Brett Veach has done this before, where he says, hey, there's a 1,000-yard rusher in the 7th round. Maybe that's the case, and maybe there's some specific groups where it happens, and maybe you're going to find that diamond in the rough. But remember, a lot of other factors are going on too. And one thing that everybody keeps talking about is that NIL has obviously been changing these classes. COVID continues to change these classes. So when you're talking about, one, guys are staying in college longer because they're staying for NIL money, or we're seeing players who now have 5th, 6th, 7th years of eligibility because of COVID. It's not that affects those draft classes. And so what you really hear behind the scenes is from more and more teams and more groups is that, what it affects is day 3. So to the point where, to a lot of teams, and I think Brett Veach and the Chiefs fit into this, a 4th round pick and a 7th round pick, the difference is negligible. It's almost like they don't care. It's those first 3 picks. It's those top 100 picks. And so that's why I'd really be surprised if necessarily Brett Veach traded out of those top 100. I mean, maybe he'll find somebody he can take, between 100 and 110 or 100 and 120. I mean, maybe there's still a sweet spot there, but I find it really hard that Brett Veach is going to give up picks to move up, because I think he wants quality and quantity. He wants as many players as he can. So if he can trade back, get another top 100 pick, even if it's a 2026, I think Brett Veach is going to try and do that.
I love that concept. And there's 2 obvious candidates. And so for me, I try not to read too much into relationships around the league, but let's be real. Relationships around the league are what drive this league. So would it surprise you if a move back in particular, but move up, move back, whatever, could turn into a call from either Chicago or Tennessee in particular, because it's just too easy and the familiarity is there? I could see moving back to Chicago's pick as a really good option. What would you think?
Yeah, obviously there's some commonality there. Them. There's a few other teams too that you circle that are behind the Chiefs that they've made deals with before and involve draft picks, like the Giants are back there, behind them. So there's probably, half dozen spots behind the Chiefs where I think there's good trade partners. And this is another thing, that Brett Veach has talked about that, it kind of also gets overlooked a little bit, is that, Brett Veach has told us it's really hard sometimes to make deals when teams are on different draft pick charts. If you view that draft picks differently than another team does, getting on the same page and making a trade is hard. So he always finds it easier to deal with teams who have similar values on draft picks, and that's a team that you wonder why the Chiefs and the Bills make a lot of draft day trades. It's because they have the same chart. They use the same chart. They have the same view of the draft pick value. So it's not hard to get something done. And so that's why, hey, teams like Carolina and Chicago and Tennessee might be some, organizations that the Chiefs, are able to make deals with, because there's guys there that value draft picks the same way Brett Veach does.
Makes a lot of sense, and I'm really eager to see what happens, but that's not the only option. There are a lot of them. Could the third one really be the best? We're going to find that out next. You've probably heard of Chewy. They really do have everything that you need to keep your pet happy and healthy, whether you're shopping for food or treats or even healthcare. Chewy makes it easy, fast, and affordable. They have over 100,000 products, all your favorite brands, and all the toys and beds and grooming stuff that you need for your pets, whether it's dogs, obviously, or birds, fish, even reptiles, and smaller pets as well. Chewy makes it easy to manage their health and their prescriptions with telehealth visits. You can get in-person vet clinics as well. They're nationwide, and AutoShip is a game changer. You can set it up for automated deliveries every so often. They never run out, and it's easily changed or canceled at any time. You can get it super, super fast too. I've had orders show up in a day. Chewy has everything that you need to keep your pet happy and healthy. Right now, you can save $20 on your first order if you get free shipping by going to chewy.com and clicking the link down in the description. Save $20 on your first order with free shipping by clicking that link in the description below. Minimum purchase is required. New customers only. Terms and conditions apply. See the site for complete details. So, lots of options. You can find all the information that you want either at ChiefsDigest.com, at NFL33, and make sure you check out RogueAPC.com for both the athletic matrix for all the athleticism grades on the guys you want on your roster, and the draft guide that is very, very close to dropping. Matt, this is something that I pay a lot of attention to trends. I maybe overpay attention to some of the little details that we hear from GMs around the league when they let things out, but I do think it is something that has value. A lot of GMs like Brett Veach will give you a little hint as to what they are actually thinking. And if you put it all together, what I'm hearing is the offensive tackle class is much how I see it. I have 3 first-round grades, and a lot of teams don't have much more than that. The defensive tackle class, yes, there's a lot of them. I would say that the breadth of it is very good. The guys that can come into this defense and actually help you do what you need to do, and I mean pass rush, that's maybe a lot thinner. So if both those options are exhausted, the question comes to me, and what we're hearing is that maybe this wide receiver class is not as valued. Maybe there's only one of them, and it could even be Travis Hunter, who has the luxury that he has obviously earned of playing 2 positions, and many teams see him differently. So he's going to get taken in this first round, probably in the first 5 picks, if my estimation's right. But other than that, it might be very thin at wide receiver. If the Chiefs are unable to trade out, whether because they can't strike a deal or they don't want to, and it gets to 31, if all the tackle and the bigs are all gone off the board that they have first-round grades on, are you comfortable with them taking a wide receiver at that spot?
I would be comfortable with that, Ryan, because to me, it depends on, whether or not it's a receiver that has value. Obviously, you can't reach. You can't just take a receiver there for the sake of taking a receiver if you think you need one. But to me, I think that a legitimate, draft day scenario the Chiefs may have to face is, what do you do with Luther Burden is there at 31? And, there's options at defensive tackle. There's options at offensive tackle. Maybe a great tight end is falling down there too. There could be an option that, hey, there's another player that you really, really like. And now, granted, we're talking about players that at this point, we're assuming that first-round graded players are gone. And you mentioned it. Most teams, the Chiefs will tell you, Brett Veach will usually tell you, he's probably got no more than 15 to 20. I'd imagine this year we're going to hear from him, it's probably more like 15 to 17. I think it's just fewer players with a true first-round grade. So you're going to be picking and choosing from players that you've got a second-round grade on. But I think, and I've gotten this question before, and I think it's a really, really tough one. What do you do if, a Luther Burden from Missouri or a defensive tackle like Walter Nolan is available? Because these are 2 players that are right now kind of consistently available around in the low 30s on a lot of mock draft boards. Which one would you take? One obviously is a huge need. One is a wouldn't it be nice need. If you're Brett Veach, you're probably going to take the player that you have higher graded. So that'll be up to him to be able to tell you which one is the one that he's got the higher grade on. But does that also create a scenario where you like to trade back and maybe still get the guy that you want? That would be the ideal scenario, but it's distinctly possible. If the best player on your board, Ryan, is at a position like wide receiver, that's still a premium position. You to me, if the best player available is a wide receiver, you take a wide receiver.
And I think that's what it comes down to is the evaluation, is how the board is stacked. Because Nolan has some questions about off the field, has not been consistent in really anything for the last 6 years, both high school and college, about where he plays and how he plays and what he's doing. Obviously, some questions as to motivation for Burden, some questions, or really more than that, some serious concerns for Tetero and McMillan about whether he loves the game, whether you can count on him to be a number 1 receiver that you may project him to be. So I do think that these particular scenarios do lead to wide receivers falling, and I think that that is an option. The other one that I will ask you, though, if that's option 3 and that's the best option, go for it. Option 4 could be a position that the Chiefs have made investments in before. There is a possibility, at least the way my board looks like it's going to fall out, that there's a cornerback that is either a first-round grade or literally a 33, 34 grade sitting there at 31 and nobody else is around. That is hard to swallow for me given the investment in the position and the other needs. But if you are in the room, are you telling Brett Veach the board is the board? If the corner's the best guy there, you take him?
I mean, to me, corner is another premium position. It absolutely is in this day and age. You can't just have 1 or 2 guards. I mean, Brett Veach is going to tell you got to have probably 5 guys who can defend the pass, at least at that position. I mean, and length and speed are 2 things that you typically only get at the top of the draft. So if you're talking about getting a guy with really good speed at 6'1", I mean, Trent McDuffie is the exception, proves all other rules. I mean, not the biggest guy, but he's faster and he has better reflexes, better reads, smarter than everybody else. So he's got an exception that proves that rule. But, hey, if you're going to draft, height and speed at corner, you're probably only going to get it early on. And you say it, not a need. Well, remember, you don't have a long-term deal done with Trent McDuffie yet. Who's your number 2 corner for the future? I mean, your entire Fab 5 class is going into year 4. So you've got to start thinking about which one of them is, popped up and you're going to keep. You went out and got Christian Fulton for a 1-year fix. That's an indication that, you're not completely have a cornerback room. So you even look at, who are going to be your top 3 corners going forward. I can't tell you who that's going to be for 26 and beyond. So, and let's face it, I mean, we talk about outlandish scenarios. I mean, as much as everybody believes, and I firmly believe that the Chiefs are going to absolutely want to and will try to get something done with Trent McDuffie, what if they don't? What if it's pretty clear to them that, hey, Trent McDuffie is like, wait a minute, I see these other deals out there, and hey, Stingley can sign for whatever he wants to, but I'm better than that. So I want $30 million per, and these deals were all, a year ago. So I want more money than that. I mean, could you end up in a Tyreek Hill type situation where Trent McDuffie is like, hey, I got a couple of Super Bowl rings. I'm ready to get paid. And if you're not willing to make me the highest paid corner in the league and buy a lot, maybe we need to find somewhere else. Well, if that's the scenario, wouldn't you be a whole lot more happy if you had a 2025 first-round corner in your pocket?
Yeah, that does. I do like the ring of that. That makes a whole lot of sense. One way or the other, they have to fit, and that's the only way that they are an option. So we're going to play a game coming up next about fitting into the Chiefs scheme. It's called Hot or Not. We'll do it next. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get into the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place a $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I love how FanDuel just makes it super easy for new fans all the time to pick their favorite teams, their favorite props, to just get in the action. From 3-pointers to assists to what's going on, there's a lot out there. And I know March Madness is wound down now, and you're waiting, and maybe baseball season's coming, and we're just trying to get to training camp. But there's a lot that you can get in the action right now at FanDuel. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. We've been playing a lot of games lately. It's the off season, so it's a A or B contest here. For me, it's about scheme fit, because we talk about all the ways to evaluate players from athleticism down to arm length at wherever you got measured best, right? There's a lot of variation this particular season. So for me, it comes down to scheme fits. And my problem is that there are a lot of positions that aren't quite the right fit. Everything in this class, and I do mean everything, is but from the top pick, a generational talent, to quote Mike Bergonzi, who I do think he's talking about Travis Hunter, I still don't buy it. You know what I mean? So I want to ask you a couple of questions, get your take on them. So hot or not, a offensive tackle that you might have to put into guard eventually that's got 33.25-inch arms. Do you do it? Is that enough of a scheme fit, hot or not?
I mean, it is generally one of those things where it might depend on the player. and whether or not I think that they can handle it. But I mean, you're the Chiefs. You've been down this road before. It's hard. I mean, if you've got a hard, fast, set type about who you think your tackle should be, you better hold to it, because if you don't, you're just I think you're just asking for trouble. So, I mean, if you've even got a hint of a seed of a doubt in the back of your head that what you're drafting is a high-end guard and not a tackle, I think you got to pass on it. And we've talked about it. I mean, if for a left tackle class, this class has a lot of right tackles and future guards in it.
An absolute ton. So that is officially a knot, folks. I just want to keep the scorecard here. Okay, next one. And this is troublesome to me in particular, but you need to have vision. You need to have a fifth gear, and I think that's something this offense has been missing for quite a bit. And you need to be able to run in a zone offense. If the running backs are there that fit those three criteria, and we just talked about how important the top 100 picks are, but to get one of them, you got to use one of them. Hot or not, take a running back in the top 100.
It's really interesting the way you phrase that question, because, you know, I almost want to attack the premise of the question itself, because it's like, hey,
get it.
I mean, if you're the Chiefs and you're going to continue to be a multiple offense, and that you're going to run zone and you're going to run man and you're going to do all these different things, well, you better get a running back who can run all of them. So, yeah, sure. If you got a guy that can do that and fits your offense, top 100 picks, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with that. You know, it's got to, I mean, we'll see about the depth of the class. And that's where your questions get in is, you know, hey, if you're at 96, hey, is there a player there that you think is significantly better than one you can get in the fourth round? Those I think that's a legitimate question to ask in at least this year's draft. But I guess really to answer your question, I am going to say yes, because if you're the Chiefs and you're going to continue to run a multiple offense, you got to have a back who can run in multiple blocking schemes.
Okay. That's completely justifiable. Now's the tough one for me, because I love this position and it's just not as valuable as it used to be. But in this particular group, and as we see the pendulum swing back to teams wanting to run at Kansas City, in the early third, maybe even that same 96th pick, 95th pick, whatever we're at, it becomes very difficult to discern whether a linebacker who can cover, specifically one that can cover, because we all know they don't want thumpers and they're not coming downhill. Nick Bolton is going to be that guy. Leo Chenal, when he has to, they're not investing in that again, right? They need to be able to turn and run. Is that pick in this draft? Do you see anybody that can turn and fit into what Steve Spagnuolo wants to do? Is for, so you hot or not on this class having a fit for the Spagnuolo scheme?
Gosh, it's really tough. I would probably say it's a soft, but I'm leaning towards no. I think that's a tough thing to do. I mean, obviously the Chiefs, you've made a short-term investment with Nick Bolton. He's going to be at least your Mike for a couple of years. Right. You know, and hey, you are going into your decision year on Leo Chenal, so there's some, you know, decision to be made there. And that would be the guy that you're kind of thinking about maybe replacing. You're sort of talking about maybe replacing Drew Tranquill too, just because of the years getting up there with him. And maybe his days of being a starter kind of getting behind him at some point. So it is definitely a need. It's the question is the player out there? And I tell you what, I mean, I think that the Chiefs have been fairly successful as far as scheming around that by just loading up with safeties who can essentially play that spot. So I think the Chiefs are better off with more safeties on the field and more linebackers on the field. I think it's easier to find bigger safeties that can play that kind of spot for you and match up against tight ends. So, I mean, let's face it, the Chiefs are not a 4-3 defense. They're a 4-2-5 because that's what they play more than anything else. Yep. So I say safeties is where you load up, not linebacker.
Okay, so that takes me to my next question. Well done. That was like the perfect segue, Matt. So Mike Edwards comes back to this roster. In my mind, that's no guarantee. It's just somebody that knows the scheme that you know can perform. At least you think he can perform. So for me, if it comes down to those picks, especially if you have to move back and you garner another, if that's what it is, if there is a safety on the board that's the best guy on your board, even though you have 6 of them that could probably play for you right now, signed to contracts, would you go draft another, particularly one if he's a center fielder type? There's 3 in this class by my eyes that I think could fit that role.
Well, and let's face it, that's the one that the Chiefs have had the toughest time finding is, somebody who's got the speed and the ability to play at that position, to cover the back end of the field for you. Bryan Cook, I think, has that ability and shown in the past. Last year, coming back from the ankle injury, maybe just not quite as fast, so maybe didn't have that same skill set. And still not always the fastest guy in the world, but it was just his reaction and speed that always kind of helped him a little bit make up for maybe some other deficiencies on the back end. But hey, I would say yes, because I just think a true free safety on the back end is something that the Chiefs have not had in a while. It's something that is a need for them. And again, I mean, the NFL is short. It's not that long before Bryan Cook is going to be up for free agency, and you got to make a decision about him. And you can't have, once again, enough guys in the back end. So Mike Edwards is just a 1-year guy as a backup. So, to me, that's not like a long-term solution. You've got Jaden Hicks that you really, really like, but again, not necessarily a back-end guy. Chamari Connor, not necessarily a back-end guy. So, yeah, if you've got a true center fielder you can put back there, that's if that's what's on your board at the time, take it.
Folks, you'll have my thoughts on that particular safety in that particular scenario coming up next week. So make sure that you don't miss it. Don't miss anything in Chiefs Digest either, because it's all coming out there as Matt works his way to the draft as well. I'm really excited about this one. It's a weird year, Matt, and I dig weird years. So thanks for playing the games today. It's been fun.
As always, Ryan, this is a lot of fun. Take care, my friend.
Folks, you have a good day. We'll be back tomorrow digging deeper into this class as we get ready for the NFL draft. Check out ChiefsDigest.com, NFL 33, as well as RogueAPC.com. Don't forget that code, LOC, just between the two of us. Have a good one. We will be back with you then, and that will be one step closer to draft day. Take care.